courageous man, and a man that I have deep affection for. And I was the spokesman of his campaign organization, and I know what happened at that time when it came to the fraud and the electoral malpractices of the JEGA-led INEC at the time, how we were rigged out, and I know the role the Americans played. I know the role that the Obama administration and Biden, who was the vice president at the time, played in all that. I know the role that they played. I know the fact that David Axelrod, Obama's media advisor, his company was literally contracted and commissioned by the APC opposition party then to advise them. They paid him a lot of money. He came and assisted them. And in fact, the whole slogan of change came from them. I know this. I know how the Obama administration tried to discredit Jonathan, how to undermine him, and how Susan Rice told two key security officials. I just written an essay. I'll publish it maybe next week on this, but I've given details. Two of them have said, we're going to bring your man down and we're going to ensure he doesn't come back. Why? Because he refused to legalize homosexuality in Nigeria, and he refused to pass a law allowing for same-sex marriage, which Obama publicly, not privately, asked him to do. And I also happen to know why it was that the Obama-Biden administration refused to sell arms or allow the Jonathan administration to buy arms whilst we're in the middle of a war with Boko Haram, because they wanted them to lose that war. Jonathan had to use cash to buy arms from other places and get South African companies to come in to help us. And that is how Boko Haram was driven out of the Northeast, contrary to the disinformation and propaganda of the APC, and they were pushed in the Sambisa forest by the time of the election. The Americans tried to stop that from happening. I happen to know the role that the Americans, CIA, and others played, even in the Chibok girls' abduction, and the way it was all contrived with collusion with some people in the then opposition in order to discredit Jonathan. These are the things that they were doing in terms of when it comes to special ops and black operations and CIA work and so on, to undermine President Jonathan. Now, don't take this from me. Perhaps you should at some point, if you can, sit with President Jonathan and ask him. He's been very disciplined and very restrained in not coming out to say too much about it. I believe he said one or two things, but I happen to know this is what they did, how John Kerry, the foreign minister, came to Nigeria. Instead of talking to the president or talking to, he'll go straight to see the Sultan of Sokoto, how Obama invited all the northern governors to the White House and told them how power must go to the north, all these things. And they have the nerve, this same Democratic Party, to talk about Russian interference in the 2016 election in America. Well, the role they played in our election in 2015 to bring Buhari to power and create torment for the Nigerian people over the last 5 years, where our people have been slaughtered, we are divided, we are poor, we are suffering, our country is falling apart, world's poverty capital, everything under the sun, terrorist organizations, leading terrorist organizations all over the world, and it's getting worse by the day. It was Obama and Biden, the same Joe Biden, that brought this plague on us. So I cannot forgive that. I cannot forgive that. And please, do not take my word for this. Do the research, which is what a lot of our people refuse to do. Read up, find out, and judge for yourself. So when you are talking about a group of people that are prepared to encourage and support massive voter irregularities in another country, a massive country like Nigeria, just to get their candidate in 2015, the same people are now come back to do the same thing in their own country, America, before the eyes of the world. I give Trump the benefit of the doubt on this, because I know what this same Democratic Party, this same Obama bunch, this same Biden bunch, Susan Rice, Hillary Clinton, all of them did to us in this country. They literally castrated us and set us back for many, many years and put us in the hands of people that have no business be running a modern secular state. That is where we are today, thanks to them. So I believe strongly that there's something very fundamentally wrong with what has happened in America, but don't take my word for it. Let's wait for the courts to decide. Let's wait for the criminal investigation to be concluded. Let's wait for the Electoral College to meet on December the 12th. Let's wait for Congress to meet on January the 12th. Let's wait for the day of inauguration. My belief, my strong belief is that everything will turn around in Trump's favor. The truth will come out and he will eventually be sworn in. That is what I believe God's will is. That is what God has promised. And I believe that's precisely what's going to happen.
Thank you, Chief. But I want to ask, is it because of their interference in the Jonathan Buhari's election, is that what you have against Joe Biden?
I don't have anything against Joe Biden, and it's not necessarily, it's nothing personal. You know, we have to, you know, I'm not one of these politicians or people or leaders that just goes with the wind. In the terms of somebody seems to be winning, I go running to that person and say, oh, well done, congratulations, and you've done so well. When I happen to believe that there may be some fraud involved. And I don't believe that it's right and proper to concede to fraud. I don't believe that we should have given up power in 2015. I believe that it was a fundamental mistake, because I believe that process should have gone through the court system, which it never did. But that's all gone now. It's not about what they did in Nigeria alone. It is about the fact that Obama, Biden, and the American Democratic Party seem to have a penchant for rigging elections and supporting those that rig. And I'm using that as an example of what they did to us here. Okay. And the policies that they insisted on us. If you remember, when he came to Africa, Obama, he skipped Nigeria. I think he went to Senegal and then to Kenya or somewhere. He didn't come to our country, and which was a big insult. But one of the things he insisted on, he said it publicly, I think he was in Senegal, he said, we must have same-sex marriage laws. And that's where the romance ended with him, between him and Jonathan. And they became very hostile when Jonathan said no. So that is an experience I'm just giving you. But I've given you a whole plethora of other reasons why it is that I'm against the Democratic Party in terms of philosophy, in terms of understanding, in terms of, you know, and I don't believe they're the right thing for America or for the world. I believe that we really do need, I mean, we're entering into a new era now. This year alone, 2020, we started the year with the COVID-19 lockdown, if you remember. And you know the impact that has had on the economies all over the world, the lives of people and so on. We know how it happened. We know it came from China. We know why the Chinese did it. We know that the whole reason they did that was to ensure the American economy broke down so that Trump could not be allowed to come back and be voted out. Well, it didn't work. Okay? We know about that. We're living in a dangerous world. In Nigeria, not too long after the lockdown was lifted, we now had a situation whereby, you know, we had SARS protests and the whole country shut down again for a period of time. And we're just coming out of that. So much destruction. I'm in Calabar right now. And honestly speaking, we thank God for the efforts of the governor here and the leaders in this part of the country. It could have been much worse. I was in Enugu. Thank God for the governor there, what he did. I was in Anambra, which was very, very badly hit. And honestly speaking, thank God for the firm hand the governor took there. And all over our country, Lagos was a disaster. We have mass murder now going on in our streets because apart from the protests, there have also been, you know, atrocities committed by government forces, the Lekki toll gate. Yeah, so we've been through hell this year as a nation. COVID, then this, and we're still in this. Now, and difficulties with the police are now demoralized. The military is also misbehaving and quite demoralized. I mean, it's a tense period for us, dangerous period, a difficult period for us. So it's very, very important that we try to be focused about what's important and what's not important. And what's important for us is to, first of all, get our own country together and make sure we get back on course. The security, adequate security, the lives of our citizens are protected, and you don't have rogue soldiers committing genocide and mass murder at Lekki Tollgate or anywhere else, including places like in River State, a community in River State that's been under attack. So we've got to get rid of all that. And then is the outcome of this American election. And it is so fundamental to what will happen in the world for the next, you know, probably 50 years. What happens in the next 1 month is going to impact the world for the next 50 to 100 years, which direction the world will go. And that is why I believe that, you know, all right-thinking people should support and pray that the situation is such that Trump comes back. If he doesn't, well, fine, that's the will of the people. This is democracy. But what you can't tell me is that I must accept what CNN tells me as being the final result. And I must begin to say, oh, Biden, congratulations, and so on and so forth, because CNN has said so. I have stopped watching CNN since that I've never been so disgusted before in my life. The way they behave, the way they talk, And frankly speaking, it's a disgrace what they do. And it's a disgrace what other television networks have done to Trump. And I believe that no matter what they do, no matter what they say, he's still in charge. It's not CNN that's in charge. It's not those behind CNN that's in charge. It's not those that manipulate the system. People like George Soros and so many others that are in charge. It's not Satan that's in charge. God is in charge, and he rules in the affairs of men, and he will not be ashamed. The church will not be ashamed. The people of God will not be ashamed. And no man of faith, whether you're Muslim or Christian, whatever, will be ashamed by the outcome of this election.
Speaking of God being in charge and being biblical, I want to read out a tweet because I want to ask where Kamala Harris comes in play in all this. I mean, there was a tweet that went viral that I tweeted where you labeled Jezebel. He said, "I know Jezebel when I see her. Look into Kamala's eyes. Kabbalah plus Kundalini equals
Kundalini. Kabbalah and Kundalini.
Kundalini, exactly." And
you know that. Please go ahead. Sorry.
You further on went to say that Biden is a puppet and a smokescreen. A Biden presidency is a Kamala presidency. A Kamala presidency is Satan's presidency. May God deliver. Count every legal vote. So, I mean, you were about to tell me what you meant by Kabbalah and Kundalini.
No, I was asking, do you know what Kabbalah is?
I'm waiting for you to share your wealth of knowledge with us.
You didn't go and look it up. Kabbalah is a form of it's ancient sorcery. It's ancient Jewish sorcery, which was prevalent amongst the Jews before they became believers in God. And then Kundalini is a New Age religion, in which they invoke certain forces to achieve certain. And it's a very powerful force, and it's used all over the world, the eastern part of the world, particularly India and places like that. These are forces. These are powers. So now I've told you what they are. We can talk about the tweet now. Well, look, listen, these are my views. This is what I believe.
But why would you address her as a Jezebel? I mean, what did you see or what?
I believe that I have the right, and I have the right to be able to label anybody in the way that I see fit at any point in time. And what informs that is not flippant. I was led to say that, I was led to write that, and that is what I honestly believe. Now, let me tell you this. People are complaining about that, but you go on the social media, which again is controlled by these same forces that control the international television networks and big media and so on and so forth, okay? And you go and read what people have tweeted and said about President Trump, about him, his wife, his children, and so on and so forth. Why don't they show the same level of outrage when you say Trump is a killer, a mass murderer, a right-wing extremist, a racist, an evil man, an evil soul? Somebody described him as being evil. I mean, the most hideous things they say, but when you say one thing, which you honestly perceive concerning Kamala and her whole spiritual makeup and so on and so forth, it's just an opinion. Yeah, I may be wrong, I may be right. I believe I'm right. The whole world says, oh, why is he saying that about Kamala? I don't think that I need to have any kind of allegiance to any individual simply because they share the same color as mine. And I don't think I need to have any allegiance to any individual simply because they are a female. I believe strongly in judging personalities based on what they stand for and based on what their views are. And let me also add this, which a lot of people don't know. The same Kamala that you are talking about and celebrating today, and all power to her if she wins, if they win and she's VP, that's fine. That's a decision for the American people to make. It's not mine. But let me tell you something about this lady, which came out during the presidential campaign. She was responsible for the jailing of so many black males in California. And many people believe unlawfully, and many of them were freed later. When she was prosecuting people, she celebrated what she did to black people, black males in California. She was well known for it when she was Attorney General there. And that was an issue during the campaign. Outside of that, I saw footage and pictures of her marching with a group of people that they called Satanists. I have a picture of it on my Facebook wall. Satanists love Kamala. Satanists, believers in Satan. Just as I saw marches of Satanists in America talking to the camera and say, yes, we're going to stop Trump. We don't want Trump there. Well,
sorry,
listen.
Sorry, because the picture I saw on your Twitter was she marching with LGBT groups.
No. There was another one. If you look at the picture, you will see them. It says, we love Satanists love Trump. There are two pictures there. So, you know, but even apart from that, the issue of the Satanists coming out as a church, and I can send you footage of that, saying that on a march, saying that we are against Trump and we are supporting Biden and Kamala. That tells you, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you what you stand for, okay? So that's that. So I have my views. You may disagree with them. You attack mine and those I believe and trust. I'm entitled to attack yours. These are just views. I do not lament and complain and whine when you say the most hideous things about Trump and you burn his effigy and you kick his effigy and you send videos all over the place, you know, mocking him and mocking his family and calling them criminals. You see them in the orange jumpsuits, in handcuffs, and all the rest of it, which is prevalent all over the social media. Never once have people like myself or Trumpers or believers in Trump or supporters of Trump in America or outside complained about that, because that's just the way the world is. But when we say one or two things about the other side, all hell breaks loose. I remember writing an essay about Obama in 2008. Nobody liked the essay, in which I said, this man will do the sort of things that nobody has seen before, and it is evil what he's going to do. Everybody in this country attacked me for it. And lo and behold, 4 years later, they all said I was right. And then he came back and proved the point again in 2012, when he showed them his true colors. So I'm led by the Spirit when I say something. You may disagree with me, you may like me, you may not like me. It means nothing to me. I have a very thick skin, like my leader, President Obasanjo, my father. I have a thick skin. It doesn't matter to me. But these are my views. And you are free to attack me for it, insult me for it. But please don't tell me I cannot express myself, especially when I express yours. And, you know, let me go back. Let me bring this closer to home. If you look at what happened during the 2015 election, I remember some people will call Jonathan weak and stupid, clueless. Some people will say his wife looks like, I won't even repeat the words, insulting his wife and his children. All kinds of reprehensible insults all over the social media, even by people that were on the then opposition, led by them, using social media to say something and undermine the government of the day. Nobody was locked up for that. Nobody was insulted for that. Nobody reacted to that. But we said our own. We responded forcefully too. And even when we responded, they say, oh, you shouldn't be talking like that. We'll say, well, look at what they're saying. Freedom of speech goes both ways. But for me, let me just tell you, I always speak and write from a position of conviction. I'm not flippant with my words. There are some people I write good things about that I really don't like. There are some people I write difficult things about, bad things about, which I like very much. I'm led by the Spirit. I believe in what I say. I say what I believe. I do not mince my words. I don't care whose ox is God. And that's just me. You understand me? And I believe that's the kind of leadership we need in this country and in the world. Hard, firm, tough. That will call a spade a spade. My views on Kamala are clear and they're fixed. And it's from a spiritual perspective, and that's how I see it, and that's how I see it. I wish her well. If she's elected as vice president, if they eventually declare them, I wish them very well. I wish the American government, whoever, be very well. But I just hope and pray that Trump comes back and Mike Pence, a committed evangelical Christian, an absolute gentleman who has been very loyal for the last 4 years and done everything right as far as I'm concerned, I hope that that is the team that comes back in 2020. Just my preference.
Yes, and this is the last question because I have taken so much of your time and I'm grateful to you for your time as well. You spoke about your former boss and you still reckon with him as your leader, the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo. I mean, he is one of the few leaders that actually congratulated Biden. If I'm not wrong, I think President Jonathan, who you also had worked with, also congratulated Biden, which is against your stance, and very unlike you went ahead to criticize them for doing that. I mean, can you explain all that scenario? Because it's kind of rare for you to, yeah, okay.
Listen, you know, I find it curious because revering somebody, being loyal to somebody, and I've proved my loyalty and my reverence for President Obasanjo, particularly ever since the year 2003 when I started working with him. I have never, ever, ever disparaged him, and I have never gone against him on anything. I agreed with him quietly, particularly on the 2015 election and so forth. But I have never disparaged him or tried to undermine him in any way. But for loyalty and reverence for an individual, particularly somebody that's your father and somebody that has been so good to you over the years, does not mean that you don't have the right to disagree with him at times. Anything less than that would be slavish, and I'm not a slave. I wasn't born a slave. I'm a believer in the truth and in saying and doing the right thing. Simply because I disagreed with President Obasanjo and President Jonathan and Vice President Atiku and Bukola Saraki, my childhood friend, and our former Vice President candidate for PDP, and a number of others, for congratulating
Joe Biden, and Kamala. Yes.
Joe Biden. It doesn't mean to say I have no respect for them. These are people that we are in the same political party. It doesn't mean that I disrespect them, but I have the right to disagree. And it's important as a leader to chart your course. You can't just say, look, let me tell you something that we will find interesting. I was watching an interview the other day in which I saw the governor of Rivers State. And he came out boldly, Dele Momo's interview, and he said, and we may not agree on many things, but one thing he said, which I found very courageous of him to say, was that he believed Trump won the election, and he believed Trump was being rigged out. This is precisely my view. He's also of that view. And this was the right thing to say, because that's the truth. Now, I don't think it was appropriate, and I enunciated my reasons for saying this. I didn't just say it out of the blue in that essay, and I would urge everybody that is listening to go and read the essay. And I said, I expressed my disappointment in them because you cannot and you must not congratulate somebody when the other side has not conceded. At least have the decency to wait until all the lawful votes are counted, so the relevant electoral college says this is the winner, and then you can begin to throw out the confetti and celebrate and send out your congratulations. But for individuals, it's not even that important because anybody can say what they like at any time. What's more important is when the president of our country does that, because that's government to government. That is a very serious mistake to make, because if Trump comes back tomorrow, he will never forget it. And look at it. The three most powerful nations on the planet, United States of America itself, the president has refused to concede. The second most powerful nation on the planet, which is China, has refused to recognize Biden until the process is finished. The third most powerful nation in the world, Russia, has refused to recognize Biden. And they've cited this. They said, look, let the process continue. Not just them, Brazil, Mexico, Iran, and North Korea, and a number of other countries have done that. And you now look at the other side, and you line them up, and you know that most of them, not all, but most of them, did this because they just don't like Trump. The only one that shocks and surprises me, and this is a man that I followed his career for many, many years, almost 30 years. I admire him immensely. He's a great man, a great, powerful man in Israel. He's done so much for his nation, for his people. I've always revered him. But this one, he disappointed me deeply. And that's Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, will now congratulate Biden after all Trump has done for Israel. And you compare Trump to what Obama did to Israel when he was in power, almost brought her to her knees. And yet Trump went the other way and they did this. So you see, for these reasons, I stated my case. I stated my reason. If people disagree, they're entitled to state their case. They can say anything they like, You look at Boris Johnson, he also congratulated. What do you expect? You look at France, all the European nations, I don't expect anything because none of them like Trump. They're all wishing for Biden to be president. But if wishes were horses, this would be a very different world. Biden may still end up being president, but let the process be exhausted. Let due process be followed. Let the law courts give their rulings. Let the criminal investigation be concluded, and then we will know where this whole thing is heading. And it was in that context that I disagreed with my father, and I disagreed with my brother, President Jonathan, who is a very, very good man. I have immense respect for him, as I do for Vice President Atiku and a number of other Nigerian politicians that I listed.
Thank you so much. That brings us to the end of our discussion. It was quite enlightening. Thank you so much, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode.
I was invited, let me just say this. I have about 6 invitations for interviews on TV, And so since between day before yesterday and today, and you're the only one that I'm granting an interview to. So it's a pleasure for me to be here, and it's an honor for you to have invited me.
Yeah, I hope you also enjoyed our discussion, actually.
I certainly did. Thank you very much. My regards to your senior editors and everybody there, and my regards to your publisher.
Yeah, thank you so much. And to our viewers that tuned in,
thank you very much.
We both thank you so much. Have a blessed day, sir, and to our viewers to have a blessed day and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Ademola Olonilwa.
Thanks. All the best.